I studied around 12 subjects back in secondary school. I was a nerdy kid that did model UNs every month. I was a part of a ton of clubs and I did a TEDx talk too, so there was a lot going on back then. But I still managed to efficiently study for all my subjects really well, and at the end of it, ranked as one of the top 3 students in my entire cohort. So in this video, I'm going to go through all the unsaid and I think realistic tips that I did to stay on top of everything. Now I know you want to study maths, English, biology, physics, geography, history all in one day. So you plan on the perfect routine to work on everything. There's a huge checklist of tasks, but ask yourself this: when has that ever worked? If you spend 30 minutes studying geography, develop a bit of interest in it, start to enjoy it, and then have to switch to maths all of a sudden, think of how useless that is. Our brains need time to lay a foundation, associate new knowledge, and encode information. So instead of studying 5 subjects a day, stick to 2 a day and revise them in 2 separate study blocks. That was my routine even on school days. I'd come home, get homework done, and then get cracking with 1 study session. After that 1 to 3 hour study session was done, then I'd have a break, a long one, and then later in the evening, I'd do another study block. It works so much better than just doing 30 minutes of like 6 subjects that day. If you don't give uninterrupted time to grasp concepts and make connections, you won't be able to remember more than 3 facts by the end of the day. And other than the understanding bit, you won't be able to develop interest, which I can't stress how important it is, especially if you're in school and you have to revise for stuff. In the beginning, I only really liked biology, but because I gave 2 different subjects a day, a good chunk of time, most days of the week, I was able to understand more, improve, and then develop an interest in things like maths, physics, and the thing is, I wouldn't have cared about those subjects at all if I'd just been trying to anxiously get through 10 other things that day. Now, what do you study each day and how do you not get bored but still complete your entire syllabus? See, you have all these different kinds of subjects that you can't learn and approach in the same way. So instead of randomly picking 2 subjects, make sure the first one you pick is a problem-based one, like maths or physics, and the second one you pick is a content-based one, like biology, geography, and other humanity. The second subject you do can also be replaced by any of the languages that you have to learn. So one day you'll do maths and then geography, and then the next day you might do biology and physics. Both great combos, by the way. But basically you're picking one subject that requires a more practical approach and one that is more content heavy. This means that in your day you're doing exam questions, looking at examples, calculations for a solid few hours. And for the next study block, you do YouTube videos, you do reading, you do more conceptual understanding, memorizing type things. I wouldn't really bother scheduling ahead of time and planning which days you're going to do which combo of subjects. I just figure it out on the day or the night before. Because if you do schedule, it kind of takes the fun out of it and it hamstrings you into just focusing on those one things. And if you forgot to do one thing one day, if you didn't have time one day, then you'll be like, oh no, I haven't done maths today, so I'll have to keep pushing it forward. It's natural to start falling behind on 2 or 3 of your subjects if you have this much to manage for school. But the smartest way to tackle this is to think about how your school timetable works. We have some subjects that we do on our timetable every day, and some where we do them once or twice a week. The subjects you have to do every day in school are obviously the ones that are more important. They require more attention and more time to practice, so replicate that with your home studying as well. If you know you're falling behind on math, then give it like 4 to 5 days of studying a week. Make that your one practical subject that you do every single day. A tip I have if you really want to improve is to have a daily goal for that math study block, such as finishing 30 multiple choice questions or 20 practical questions, whatever your scope is. For my recent exams, I had a goal of doing 100 plus flashcards of anatomy every single day because that's something that I knew I had to improve. So I did it every day, and at the end of it became kind of a game. It was quite fun, and once I got in the flow of it, my anatomy understanding really improved purely because I was putting the reps in every day. One thing I know wasted 70% of my time in school was handwriting notes, and I swear to God, if I hadn't wasted so much time rewriting and copying these notes, I would have been able to study in much less time for much more, and I wouldn't have to cram for every exam despite having studied every day. I had filled up books that I'd taken in class, I'd fix them when I'd come home, and then I'd condense them even more and reword them so that they're shorter for the exams later on. It was like this for every subject, and I knew deep down I knew that this wasn't helping, but I needed the safety blanket. I'm happy I realized by the end of it that none of it was going in my head unless I spent extra time after writing those notes to reread them and also practice with them. So instead, for some subjects, I downloaded notes, and for some, I asked my smart friends for theirs. And at the end of it, that's what I used for my final exams. I didn't waste time note-taking and instead focused on understanding, practicing, and explaining what I know to other people. And I remember this because I switched like a month or 2 before my exams, and the moment I switched, I went from studying a full subject in weeks to studying it in days. Creating recall questions in class. This is again something I know would have improved my efficiency and understanding in almost all of my classes if I'd started it earlier. Instead of wasting time copying from the board or the slide and writing it down, I wish I started converting all the things we were being taught into questions right there and then so that I could use them later on to assess myself. And even if the questions I make weren't amazing in class, it would be much better if I went home and spent time to fix and improve those questions rather than fix and improve the notes I make. The obvious benefit for making them is because once you've made them, you can then use them to assess yourself for the rest of the year. This is especially important if you don't have any access to past paper questions or question banks, because then these can literally carry you throughout your entire revision. The second benefit is that they take way less time and require more active thinking. You can't just copy off the board, you have to take in what's being taught, understand it somewhat, and then convert that into good quality questions. And third, you'll have more time to think and engage with the material. You'll save a bucket load of time in the bigger picture, and you'll be able to give more attention to all of your subjects rather than just a few. Building the habit of doing recap or summary sessions before or after every study session I did is a habit I'm really happy about. Before starting to study a subject each day, I'd have a 15-minute recap session about what I've learned in the past, or I'd pre-read what I'm about to learn. This involved doing multiple choice questions or using the textbook questions to maybe practice some of the things that I learned earlier in the week. And if there's something confusing, I'd take time to review it before moving on. I'm grateful for this habit because even though it feels like you're wasting time just recapping the stuff that you did yesterday, not focusing on what you have to do today, it's really the only part of the learning process that solidifies what you've learned. You'll be able to identify what you truly remember versus what you just thought you understood. I sometimes did this with my friends on Discord or Skype back then, and it was literally just a quick 20-minute session of me going through the stuff I don't know and teaching them the stuff that I do know. So yeah, that's a really good tip actually. Recap with people that have a similar understanding or slightly better even understanding than you do. The last tip I have is to always be thinking about how you can absorb new content for your subjects more fully and efficiently. In fact, I've recently made a video on how you can accelerate your learning and understanding of a topic when you come across it for the first time. So if you're interested, check it out right here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped, and I will see you in the next one.